Here now, former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe. Great to see you, sir. The fact that the commander in chaos refers to it as a silly balloon speaks to his vision of how China really isn't a threat. How do you see this trip cut short and everything that he has done since he took office?
Well, he mismanaged this trip just like he mismanaged the the debt ceiling negotiations, and because he has to cut it short, he sends the absolute wrong message to allies and partners throughout the Indo-Pacific in countering China. And yeah, Dagen, you just pointed out the comment that the incident with China was a silly balloon, when in fact it was a huge catastrophic national security blunder, sends the message that China is more reliable than the United States when it comes to these issues. And look, it's well documented that China's aggression is transparent on the issue of the island of Taiwan, and we all know about that. But there are a whole bunch of Pacific island chains, throughout the Indo-Pacific that are important, and we are competing with China for relationships with those. Last year, there was disappointment, if not shockwaves, that the Solomon Islands entered into a defense security agreement with the People's Republic of China, essentially choosing China over the United States as its economic and military defense partner. On this trip, President Biden was supposed to counter that with a visit to Papua New Guinea, which is the most populous of the Indo-Pacific islands just north of Australia. The people in that island nation declared a national holiday, closed schools and businesses, and spent considerable resources to celebrate the President of the United States making this important visit there. And Joe Biden canceled, and their consolation prize is Anthony Blinken is the one that showed up. That, too, sends a message that when it's not convenient for the United States, we can't be counted on. President Xi made a visit to Papua New Guinea last year, and it's those types of incidents that are really why, throughout the Indo-Pacific, as everyone, allies and other countries really evaluate this, they see, unfortunately, China as more reliable, and more nations are choosing China as their economic and military trading partner.
And Joe Biden knew this trip was coming up for the G7 and knew the debt limit was about to expire and could have negotiated with Kevin McCarthy much earlier. He chose to run these negotiations into the G7 and then therefore being caused to cancel the trip. But I want to pivot with you, John, because a court filing shows that the FBI broke its own rules, improperly using its warrantless search powers more than 278,000 times in 2021 to spy on Americans, including January 6th and Black Lives Matter protesters. What does this mean to you that the FBI is so unhinged that they're using warrantless searches to look at this database 278,000 times?
Well, what it shows, Sean, is that things are getting worse, not better, at the FBI, no matter what sort of hollow rhetoric we're getting from FBI Director Wray. Look, he promised in response to the FISA abuses that were documented in 2000, and then again reiterated in the Durham report last week. He essentially put out a statement saying, yeah, but we put in procedures to prevent abuses at the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. And the ink wasn't even dry on that statement, that admission by the FBI, when we see this 278,000 times in the year 2021, where they were illicit, improper, potentially illegal warrantless searches using a tool that's supposed to be foreign intelligence, turning it against U.S. citizens. And what's even worse, Sean, is to the point that things are getting worse, the FISA judge said that for every one appropriate search, there were 999 illicit, improper searches. And included in that was 23,000 searches of January 6th related individuals. So what it also tells us, Sean, is that when it comes to this issue, apparently the FBI believes that Fourth Amendment protections only apply to Democrats, not to Republicans. This only seems to be going one way. These abuses are only with respect to one party, so they are partisan abuses. And so, again, things are getting worse, not better, at the FBI. And I think that's why, moving forward, when you talk about the presidential campaigns and candidates, I think all of on the Republican side are going to talk about this and make this a cornerstone issue about why is this partisan abuses over and over again taking place, and promising to make the kind of wholesale changes that are necessary to remediate that going forward.
John, great to see you. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Insightful on many fronts, John Ratcliffe.
Thank you, John.